Every month, the United States government releases a jobs report, and every month, the financial media loses its mind over it. Green numbers, red numbers, beats expectations, misses estimates, and somewhere in the middle of all that noise, a carefully constructed story gets told. The story goes like this: the American labor market is strong, unemployment is low, jobs are being created. The economy is fine, go back to work, stop worrying, everything is under control. And if you've tried to find a job recently, you already know something is deeply wrong with that story. Because here's what the headline unemployment number actually measures. It counts anyone who worked at least 1 hour in the past week as employed. 1 hour. If you worked a single shift at a coffee shop, drove for DoorDash for 40 minutes on a Tuesday, or picked up one freelance invoice, the Bureau of Labor Statistics counts you as fully employed. You are not a statistic of concern. You are a success story. And this is the number that gets blasted across every financial news ticker in the country as proof that the labor market is healthy. Let that sink in. The real number you want to look at is called the U6 unemployment rate. This is the broadest measure of labor underutilization. It includes people working part-time who want full-time work. It includes people who've given up looking entirely, the so-called discouraged workers. And it includes people marginally attached to the labor force who want a job but haven't searched recently enough to qualify as officially unemployed. In early 2025, while the headline U3 unemployment rate was sitting comfortably around 4%, the U6 was running nearly double that, around 7.5 to 8%. That's the number that actually reflects the lived experience of the labor market, and it almost never makes the headline, which brings us to the part that should make you genuinely uncomfortable. Because it's not just how unemployment gets measured, it's the jobs themselves. Since 2022, a disproportionate share of new job creation in the United States has come from a handful of categories: government jobs, healthcare jobs, leisure and hospitality, part-time positions, the high-paying, full benefits, W-2, private sector jobs that actually build middle-class financial stability. Those have been scarce. In fact, full-time employment as a share of total employment has been quietly declining, while part-time and gig work fills the gap. The economy is creating jobs. It's just not creating the kind of jobs that let you afford a mortgage. And then there are the ghost jobs. This is the part that every person who has spent 6 months applying to listings that never respond already knows intuitively. A 2024 survey by Greenhouse, a hiring software company, found that nearly 40% of companies admitted to posting job listings they had no immediate intention of filling. They post the listing to build a pipeline, or to make the team look like it's growing, or because HR is required to post externally before promoting internally, or simply because they forgot to take it down after freezing the headcount 3 months ago. Meanwhile, an applicant refreshes their inbox, rewrites their cover letter for the 14th time, and wonders what they're doing wrong. The answer is nothing. The job was never real. LinkedIn alone has hundreds of thousands of listings at any given time that are weeks or months old with no active hiring manager behind them. The job market dashboard says opportunity. The actual market says good luck. Here's the mechanism, and it's almost elegant in how broken it is. Companies discovered during the pandemic that posting job listings, even fake ones, serves multiple functions. It signals growth to investors. It keeps competitors guessing. It discourages current employees from asking for raises because, hey, the listing says we're hiring, so the company must be doing fine. And it costs almost nothing to post. So the incentive to post ghost listings is high, and the incentive to take them down is basically zero, which means the 9 to 10 million job openings that the JOLTS report, the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Survey, has been reporting for the past few years is, to put it diplomatically, not exactly what it sounds like. In fact, research from economists at Harvard and other institutions has suggested that actual hireable vacancies in the labor market are likely 20 to 40% lower than official JOLTS data implies. 20 to 40%. The number that the Federal Reserve has been partly using to justify its sense that the labor market is tight enough to keep rates elevated. The number that gets cited in every "the economy is fine" argument you've heard in the last 2 years, potentially inflated by tens of thousands of listings for jobs that do not functionally exist. And the Fed has been making monetary policy decisions, at least in part, based on a job openings number that includes listings for positions companies aren't actually trying to fill, which is like navigating a ship using a GPS that occasionally just makes things up and nobody told the captain. Which brings us to the uncomfortable truth. The job market narrative serves a very specific political and financial purpose. Low unemployment numbers make administrations look competent. They make the Fed look like it's threading the needle. They make Wall Street comfortable that consumer spending will hold up. And so the incentive to report the most flattering version of labor market data is enormous. Not because anyone is necessarily lying, but because the metrics themselves were designed in a different era for a different economy, and nobody in a position of power is rushing to update them. The gig economy broke the old definitions. One person working 3 part-time gigs to approximate 1 full-time income shows up in the data as 1 employed person. The remote work explosion created a geographic mismatch where job listings in in one city get applied to by people in 12 states who have no intention of relocating, generating application volume that looks like a hot market but results in nothing. And the automation wave quietly eliminating mid-level roles doesn't show up as unemployment because those people eventually find something, it just usually pays less. The result is a labor market that looks robust in a spreadsheet and feels broken in real life. And that gap between the data and the experience is not a glitch. It is the system working exactly as designed for the people it was designed to serve. So, next time someone tells you unemployment is only 4%, so the economy must be fine, ask them which unemployment number. Ask them how many of those jobs are part-time. Ask them how many of those job openings are real. And ask them why, if the labor market is so historically strong. The median time to find a new job in 2024 stretched to over 5 months for white-collar workers. 5 months. In the strongest job market in a generation, the numbers say you should be fine. Your bank account says otherwise. And usually, your bank account is the more honest of the two. I want to hear where you land on this. Do you think the official jobs numbers are a reasonable approximation of a complex labor market, or do you think they're a carefully curated story that papers over a much messier reality? Drop it in the comments, because the people reading them are not the people living them, and that gap is getting harder to ignore.